Hi, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Underdressed. Today, as promised, I'm going to talk about the exhibition I saw at the V&A in London called Fashioning Masculinities, the Art of Menswear. I think it's very apt for this channel because it's basically talking about drag, about how menswear evolved through the ages and how it reflects how people viewed masculinity through the ages and how gender is all a construct and how silly things like wearing pink and ruffles and everything don't make you any less of a man. So I'm going to be recreating my tuxedo Klaus Nomi look that I did for Oktobetsnatch because I'm also using this for the promo for my next upcoming show. Alright? Okay, stay tuned, and if that's something you see, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ring that bell for post notifications. Alright? Alright, I'll see you in a bit. Alright, brows are gone, and now I'm just going to go back in. The makeup I did for Oktobetsnatch had to work for 3 looks, so it had to be a really soft kind of glam look. But today I'm going to go all out and go all cabaret and all Klaus Nomi with my makeup, okay? So really pale skin and really bold eye, and maybe some, pink blush to go along with it. Alright, e.l.f. Poreless Putty. So this Fashioning Masculinities exhibition, it was sponsored by Gucci, and it was curated by these two fashion historians, Claire Wilcox and Rosalind McKevers. Okay, my friends recommended we go, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, we went after lunch, and the whole idea of the exhibition is basically to dispel the myth that menswear isn't as exciting as women's wear. Okay, and isn't that basically why we all do drag? Because women's clothes and women's fashions are so much more exciting. But that's actually only a phenomenon over the last century or so. Okay, before that, menswear used to be just as glamorous and just as ostentatious as women's. Okay, and something about the last 100 years, which I think they put out some hypothesis during this exhibition on why, okay, suddenly menswear became so restrictive. And hopefully we're turning the corner to, embrace more exuberant dressing in men. And the whole ethos about, we're all born naked and the rest is drag is really born out in this exhibition, okay? And it's one of the things that runs through this exhibition. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this shirt. Alright, I'm gonna go back in with my Makeup Forever. I'm gonna use that lightest shade there. Not mixing in the darker shade this time. It really drives home the idea that gender is really just a reflection on what society says it is, okay? Basically a construct, if you will. I know a lot of people take issue with the term constructs because some people see gender as quite defined, okay, but it is actually only defined in the era that we live in and the values of society at that moment in time. Okay, and what we considered masculine before, okay, for example, pink and, as I mentioned, ruffles and certain silhouettes are actually considered feminine today, and if you wore that out in the streets, people would stare at you. And that's one reason why drag is, as RuPaul says, always very, very punk rock and will never be mainstream, because the whole idea of what drag is will evolve as society progresses, and it will always be trying to poke fun at whatever the norm is of that time. So who knows, maybe in 50 years time when everyone's wearing all sorts of crazy outfits, drag is going the back way around and becoming very, very, more costumey or restrictive or historical. I don't know. I'm pouncing this in with some porcelain. Okay, the exhibition is divided into 3 parts, all 3 of which I found extremely interesting. The first part was called Underdressed. Okay, and Underdressed, they basically looked at the male form, how ancient Greek and Roman and Renaissance sculpture defined and dictated men's body types, okay, and the ideal body type and hence menswear. Okay, there's a very nice piece, this huge fig leaf, which was actually commissioned by Queen Victoria to cover David's junk, okay, because she was so appalled by having to confront male genitalia, okay, in art. Okay, they had all these depictions of Renaissance sculpture and how it still influences things like gay culture, for example, things like Tom of Finland, and also the dandies, okay, in the 1800s, and how they dressed and how they corseted and everything, and how they used undergarments to change their figure. And they brought it all into modern day menswear to show how trans men actually use these to change their bodies and to get a silhouette that is more in keeping with what a man is supposed to be. I thought there were some very fascinating cartoons about dandies, or there's this one about where a dandy is being pulled into a corset by his a fashion designer and what looks like a black servant. Okay, and it's called Lacing a Dandy. And here's the caption where it says, the depiction of this black man and French hairdresser helping this person into a corset reflects the racist and homophobic stereotypes of men being effeminate at that time. Okay, I'm not going to contour very much today, but I'm going to highlight. I'm going to do most of my shaping with highlights and blush. Okay, I'm going to go in white. In the section where they showed the undergarments for trans men, they had this whole essay there about overcoming dysphoria and shaping the body to, you know, fit into society's standards of what a male body is supposed to look like. Okay, and they even talked about prosthetic penises and packers and stuff like that trans men or even sometimes drag kings use. So now I'm going to go in with some pink. I'm going to use my Marron pink, okay, to give myself some big drapey blush. Okay, so that's all I'm doing for contouring today. Okay, I'm going to do all this off camera and I'll be back to talk about the second part of the exhibition called Overdressed. Alright, I've powdered everything and now I'm going into the eyes. I'm using the watermelon, this really, really bright pink, okay, from the Kimchi palette. And I'm going to draw in quite a angular crease, okay, going in towards the nose and down outwards. Okay, and so the next section of the exhibition is called Overdressed, okay, and it's throughout the ages. They basically showed how extravagant dress was in society. Okay, there was a little bit more of a skew and more of a bias towards showing, you know, rich white societies, which is one of the criticisms of this exhibition. Okay, that it was very Eurocentric and basically just showed a lot of rich people wear, which I think is a valid criticism, especially since, you know, Riz Ahmed did turn up on the Met Gala wearing immigrant worker clothing, which I thought was a really nice touch. Okay, but anyway, it did show basically how opulence evolved through the ages and what was considered masculine before is actually called feminine or flamboyant now. I mean, this whole thing about peacocking, okay, is a very male phenomenon. Okay, so men do tend to like to puff out their chests and show displays of grandeur to solidify their stance in society. Okay, and that's something that has been reflected through the ages, and maybe now because everything's so restricted, it's being shown in other ways, such as violence, intergender violence, horrible political laws, maybe because they can't express themselves, they're doing all this. I don't know. I'm just going to blend out the sides a little bit. Okay, I'm going to bring this pink all the way around here. And blend that into the blush. I'm going to use that pink later for blush as well. Okay, and they showed things like how lace and ribbons and everything were used a lot in menswear at the time. And they actually showed a lot of modern designers copying these silhouettes. It was very, very beautiful. They even showed Billy Porter's outfit, this really embroidered and brocaded cloak, okay, which he wore was so beautiful. I think my friend wants to wear this at his wedding. Now I am going in with some black. I'm going to use my Cara Beauty palette and I'm going to sketch out some black around there. Okay, I put the pink down first because I didn't want to muddy it up too much with the black later, so the pink will pop. I'm going to pop that on. Okay, I'm sketching out my liner basically with shadow first. I'm also taking some inspiration today from Alice Atlantis. Always check out her Instagram whenever I'm planning a look because her makeup skills are totally amazing. Okay, and I'm going to bring this into the crease. The next section of the Overdressed is a whole bunch of pieces on color, okay, and how different colors were fashionable through the ages and how pink was actually very, very much used in almost every era, okay, and it was a color of nobility and it used to be worn by a lot of men, okay, and now pink is like, I don't know, when I was growing up, men don't wear pink, okay, it was so stupid, okay. But even now, you know, our Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong wears pink shirts on occasion. People speculate that it's kind of like, you know, subliminal messaging, trying to convince LGBT people that even though we're considered illegal in Singapore, he's still supporting us, but you know, that's a bit of a stretch. Okay, don't blend the black too much, otherwise it gets very muddy. extend that into the nose a bit. Okay, let's just leave that there and go back with a pink to blend that out. Alright, so that was this section. Okay, I'm going to clean up my eye a little bit, maybe do some blush, and I'll be back to talk about the last part of this exhibition called Redress, all about the suit. Alright, quite a bit further along. Okay, I've cleaned up those eyes and really intensified that blush and also drawn on these cabaret brows. These brows are tricky because you got to get them on in one swipe, and fixing them is not the easiest thing. Alright, so now I'm going to cut that crease and put some intense shimmer on the lid. Okay, so the last section of this exhibition is called Redress. Okay, and it basically traced the history of the suit and the tuxedo. Okay, how it was born out of a mix of the Industrial Revolution and capitalism. Okay, how this tapered look that really desexualized the male form gained popularity during this time when, men were kind of like forced into this role of workers, faceless workers, characterless workers for, industry and the capitalist societies at the turn of the 19th century and also at the beginning of the 20th century. I'm going to set that with white. I'm going to use Diamond Dust. This is Violet Chachki's favorite glitter eyeshadow by Stila. Okay, they not only showed the evolution of the suit, but they also showed all the variations and deviations from the suit, and even suits worn by women and how certain fashion houses really tried to reinvent the suit. For example, the Alexander McQueen suit combined with female stockings. Okay, and they even had like suits worn by the likes of Marlene Dietrich, Kim Basinger, and a whole bunch of very iconic suits. And that's why the suit has kind of like really overtaken men's fashion in the last century. Okay, and all this opulence is a thing of the past. Oh yeah, by the way, this thing snapped off, so I had to spirit gum this back. Okay, lips. I think a really bold red lip. I think I'm going to go for a very cabaret lip. And then last part of this exhibition, they showed these three very iconic men's outfits that they think are redirecting men's fashion now, okay? One of them is, of course, Billy Porter's tuxedo gown, which Christian Siriano designed for him for, I think, was the Emmys or something. And another one was Harry Styles' dress, okay, paired with a blazer for the cover of Vogue. And the third was actually Bimini Bon Boulash's wedding dress for the finale of Drag Race UK Season 2. So there is a commentary here that Drag Race is actually redefining, okay, what men are allowed to do and how men are allowed to dress. So I thought this was all very interesting. And also, I watched White Hot, which is the Abercrombie & Fitch documentary on Netflix, basically exposing Abercrombie & Fitch, capitalizing on homoeroticism and Americana, okay, to create this era of exclusivity. We all fell prey to that, okay? When we were growing up in Singapore, all we saw in porn and what was the ideal male figure was the young white Caucasian man, okay? And me and my friends, we were so obsessed with Abercrombie also, and we used to go to New York and just hang out in the Abercrombie store, okay? Making ourselves feel bad about our own bodies at the time, okay? I'm so glad I'm over that. Well, kinda. And of course, we saw a lot of different fashions on the Met Gala this time, okay? Men are starting to step out, trying to become more adventurous in their dressing. And also with Drag Race breaking boundaries, hopefully this will start seeping into the rest of society and we'll get a lot more interesting dressing in the future. All right, I'm going to do lips off camera and I'll be back with the finished look, okay? And a wrap up. All right, and this is the finished look. This is my Klaus Nomi inspired tuxedo outfit that I made for Oktobetsnatch 2 years ago. I thought it was really apt for this video, okay? And I got a top hat as well, the one I got in Paris for €5. And that's a video on fashioning masculinities and the arts of menswear and how, things might change in the future. All right, so I'm going to take some pictures for my upcoming show. I am hosting a drag cabaret in July, so if you're in Singapore, please buy tickets, okay? So I'm going to use this to take some pictures for, the promo shots and everything. All right? Okay, and if you like this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and ring that bell for post notifications, all right? Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye. me set up the hair. Oh, and by the way, this is like a VW. My initials. Alright, don't forget to check out my other videos. I told you how to do a basic drag eye here, and I showed off my family and extended family in this Rainbow Families photo shoot. See ya!